Grab your cocktail and get ready for this episode of the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast. Welcome to the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasons while drinking an old fashioned. I'm Brian, and I have the privilege of introducing my buddy, Ross Bailey, to the podcast. Ross, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be with you, Brian.
So, Ross, let's, before we tell everybody who Ross the man is, no, you know what? Let's tell who Ross the man is, and then we'll tell everyone how we got acquainted.
That was a fun story.
All right. So, as we do on every episode when you're clogged up, sorry about that, boys. Ross, tell us who Ross the man is. Push Masonry to the side.
Sure.
Tell everyone who you are.
Just your everyday guy. I grew up in Northwest Indiana along the lakeshore of Lake Michigan. On a clear day, you can see Chicago, which is great. All the benefits of being in the suburbs and living along the coastline of the dunes, and having the access to everything that is in Chicago, as well as the unfortunate side effects of being a Cubs fan and a Bears fan, and some of those types of things. Luckily, the Blackhawks have been pretty good over the past couple of decades. Attended college in West Michigan at a small Division III school called Hope College. I was able to play soccer there. And after college, I met back up with a girl that I briefly saw in high school. She was attending Purdue University at the time, ended up getting married, and we relocated just about 30 minutes south of where we both grew up, and live in Crown Point, Indiana currently. And it's the hub of Lake County. It's a beautiful city. It's growing. And we now have two typically healthy boys, not right now, but typically healthy boys, a handful of cats and dog, and just make a nice life for ourselves out here in the suburbs.
I love it. I love it. So let's, those who watch the podcast and those who know me well know I'm a bit of a gambler. I gamble with money. I gamble with my life. I just gamble, right? So a couple of years ago, I'm in Vegas at a blackjack table, sitting there gambling. I don't know how I did. The casinos are beautiful, not because I win all the time. So I'm playing, and a gentleman's to the right of me.
Yep.
Ross. And he happens to see my ring, my Masonic ring. Is this right?
That's correct.
Okay. Sees the Masonic ring. And how did that go? Did you ask me, or how did that exchange go?
I remember I don't remember whether it was a Masonic ring or whether it was a shrine ring, but I remember seeing a ring, and I believe I asked you if you were a traveling man.
Yep.
And you responded that you were, and I asked you where you were from. And you said, I'm from a small town in Kansas.
Yeah. I
said, I happen to know a couple people from Kansas.
Oh, that's right. You did. I know somebody. And I think
I said, I know somebody from Kansas, actually. And you being the big talker that you were, you said, you know what? I bet I know them. And
I probably said, there's probably not a Mason in Kansas. I don't know.
Yep. I think that was the exact line.
Yeah.
And I said, well, he happened to be a past Grand Master, so there's a good chance of that. And I believe he just had finished serving as Imperial Potentate at the time. And I said, the only guy I know from Kansas that's a Mason happens to be Imperial Sir Jeff Souter.
Yeah, that's right.
And you and your wife nearly fell out of your chair backwards.
We did, like, no. And I think this might have been my first selfie of my life. Did we take a picture and send it to Souter?
We did. It was somewhere between the time frames. So you lose time at the blackjack table.
You do.
But it was sometime between like 11 p.m. and like 2 a.m. So we knew that Jeff wasn't quite awake yet to go work, work with the cattle.
Yeah.
To go feed them. But we took a selfie and we sent it off to Jeff that night.
That's right.
And first thing in the morning, I'm waking up to a phone call from Imperial Sir Jeff.
Right.
Asking me what in the world I'm doing with
That jackass.
Such ruffians.
He's probably, what were you doing at 2 a.m. with Byrd in Vegas? And you probably could have said, listen, it's fine. He's with his wife. And
Yeah.
I would have said, that's even worse. What were you doing with the Byrds in Vegas? Oh my gosh. So it really is a small world. We were both there for some business,
Hmm.
and it was really fascinating. And I helped. Did we cross paths again at another table like in September?
We did.
Was I watching somebody play?
This past September, I was on my way to another blackjack table, as it were, and I caught you standing waiting for a cab, I believe it was, trying to pull one of your friends off of a table, and
That's
you
I
know,
I love it when it's not me being pulled off of a table. That's awesome. So that's great. It's just I love the small world that we live in. And then when you said your name, I'll say this. It's like, what's your name? Ross Bailey. Like,
mhm,
wait a minute. I know who your dad is, right?
yeah,
So we're gonna get to that as we're walking through your Masonic journey.
sure,
We're gonna infuse that. So walk us through your Masonic journey from when you started,
sure.
where you are today.
So I think for context, I think it's important that when you and I first met at a blackjack table, it was September 2023. And we'll fast forward through all of that here
That's fair.
shortly. Um, I started my Masonic journey in 2012. I had finished college in 2011, and kind of my brother had gone through his entered apprentice, fellowcraft, and master mason while he was in college in his college town, as did my cousin. I thought, you know what? I may not end up here, long term. I'm going to wait, find out where I settle down before I jump into any of that. So in 2012, I started my entered apprentice at Porter Lodge number 137 in Valparaiso, Indiana, and progressed through my fellowcraft degree the following month. And then in November of 2012 was my Master Mason degree. Now, the fun part about this, and I don't know if I had shared this with you, Brian, is I petitioned the lodge, and it was a lodge that my grandfather, my uncle, my father were not a part of. It was a different lodge. Uh, they did not attend my entered apprentice degree. They did not attend my fellowcraft degree, and I invited them on November 13th to attend my Master Mason degree. And my grandfather and my uncle and my father were all saying, "Well, no, you need to do your entered apprentice degree." I said, "Well, no, I've done those. It's time for my Master Mason degree, and I'd like you to be there." And what none of them knew is I had petitioned the lodge, done my degrees, done my memorization work, and had been regularly attending lodge for, as much as I could for about 3 months. And the entirety of the
You
lodge
kept
was,
masonry a secret from your dad.
and those on the investigation committee have known me for a long time and my family for a long time. We're all asked politely to keep this close to their chest until I let them know. And so they were all kind of taken aback, a little stunned. It was something that I wanted to do for me, and that I did, I wasn't doing this because my father asked me to or my grandfather asked me to. It was something that I wanted to do. And so I did it on my time. I did it at the lodge that I wanted to do this at, and I invited them to be a part of that. And so at my Master Mason degree on November 13th, it was my father that raised me, which was really, really special.
That's cool.
From there, in 2014, I was invited by the then Worshipful Master-elect Jim Isles to serve as Tyler of the Lodge, which was a unique learning experience. And from there, I progressed up the chair line, and as a lot of lodges do, you fast forward a little bit. Somebody drops out mid-year because of work conflict, a life conflict, and so in 2018, I'm sorry, back that up. In 2017, I was elected to serve in 2018 as Worshipful Master for the year 2018. And since then, I have served on the Board of Trustees for Porter Lodge. I currently serve as the secretary there, as I think it's incumbent upon membership, especially as a past master, to ensure that we're being good stewards of the lodge, of the property. And the way that we're set up, we're really fortunate, is we're a two-story mixed-use building with a ground floor suite for retail, actually two retail suites. And so we have a unique fiduciary responsibility to maintain our nonprofit status for the second floor, as well as use the bottom floor to cover our expenses. I joined Aurak Shrine in 2013 and have served in a variety of roles. And along there, I also joined the Scottish Rite, the Allied Masonic degrees, the York Rite, and have been participating in those ever since.
Nice, nice. So growing up, Masonry was always around you, right? What was it like, but when did you realize that Masonry was like a thing?
It probably would have had to been about 95, 96. At that time, I was 5 and 6 years old. That also happened to be the time that my grandparents served as Imperial Potentate and First Lady of Shriners International. And that was their convention year. That was down in New Orleans. And that's really about the time that core memories start to kick in for a young kid. And it was always something that was family adjacent. It was never the focus of what we did, but it was always a part of what we did.
Yep. Yep. So growing up, you're always at events, especially with the shrine, because the shrine seems to be a little more, I'm going to say that Blue Lodge isn't family oriented, but there's a little more activities for the shrine with. Did you guys do circuses and different things like that?
We did circuses. For us, my parents took my uncle's family took one path through the Masonic life. My folks took a different path through Masonic life. My cousins were super involved when their parents were younger. My parents waited until we were kind of into high school and into college before getting super involved. So there's a different path for everybody, but one of the things that was kind of core memory for my brother and I is Thanksgiving always meant circus. Circus always meant a lot of fun and Thanksgiving and family time.
Yep.
And then number two for my brother and I was the Imperial session every year. For us, that was vacation. That was going to a different city, traveling somewhere new, learning, exploring, kids' museums, stadium baseball games, wherever we ended up. We've been to Anaheim, we've been to New Orleans, we've been to Vancouver. And so we always packed in a family vacation on top of whatever Imperial session was going on.
Because Imperials were always around the 4th of July.
They're always around the 4th of July. And while some might think that's convenient, we always made that a family vacation.
Right.
Dad always was doing his thing, but this was incredible bonding time for my brother and I, as well as, along with my mom, that we got to travel to these different cities, do unique things. And one of our favorite times was always the Imperial Shrine Parade that takes place each year. And those were always some of the best parades that I've ever seen.
Yep. I agree.
So for us, it was two trains that, traveled along a similar track. They were never on top of each other. They were never causing conflict, but they were coexisting and providing mutual benefit across the table.
Yep. So we've kind of teased this a little bit. We've talked about the family. So let's talk about your parents especially your dad. So those who haven't figured it out, okay, last name Bailey. If you've been a Shriner for any amount of time, you know who his dad is. Past Imperial Potentate, Bill Bailey. So give us walk us through the last like 10 years, because I met your dad at an SDA function, the director
Mhm.
staff. So those who aren't Shriners or director staff, we put on the initiation, at least in our world, for the new novices as they come in. And the SDA is where we all take our stunts and we compete for trophies and
Mhm.
for accolades, for plaques, for swag, for all the. And that was the first time that I met your dad. And I think it was either at the Charleston or the Knoxville one. I can't remember, but I mean, he was at both. He was at all of them because that
Oh
was
yeah.
his thing. So give us a little summary and catch some of us up to speed who may not know. So
Um, so you want a summary of
yeah,
who Bill Bailey is?
yeah, in the last 10
Yeah,
years, I
last
mean,
10
gosh,
years.
he's been a Mason for a million. He was a Mason for a million years.
Yeah,
The last
absolutely.
10 or 15, he was really deep in it.
Right. And that's absolutely correct. And as I had mentioned previously, he waited until I was mid high school, and he sat my brother and I down, and that was about the time that he was asked to join the ORAC Divan and become captain of the guard. And he said, "Look, I'm going to start to have obligations. It may conflict with your soccer schedule or my brother's cross country. Is this, he asked the family's permission. He said, is this okay? Is this okay with everybody if this is something that I say yes to?" And we couldn't believe that, a grown adult was coming to his children to ask permission to do something. And that was pretty unique.
Well,
And
now that you're a Mason, you get it a little bit.
you kind of get it a little bit more as you grow up. But on top of that, prior to his role was really as vice chairman of the Imperial Marshal's Aid. And that was the big thing that he did year in and year out. He helped make sure that all of the Imperial sessions ran smoothly, on time, on schedule. People were where they needed to be, standing in the right spot. And that was where his focus was. He was not at every function, admittedly. Prior to that, he mostly devoted his time to those Imperial sessions. But he knew that now was the time for him, as he was being invited to step on to the ORAC Divan.
Right.
And so it was right about that time that, I think that would have been about 2004, 2005. My brother was headed off to college. I was around. And then shortly thereafter, I was off to college. And so a lot of that took place as he was going through the ORAC Divan without us even noticing, because we were off to college.
Yep.
But I distinctly remember being in San Antonio, Texas. It was 2009, and that happened to be Dad's potentate year. And I noticed in for anybody that attended the 2009 Imperial session, you'll remember these highlighter pinky stickers. They were everywhere: doorknobs, shirts, key cards, flasks. Everywhere you went, they were there, and they said, "Elect Jeff Souter to Imperial Outer Guard," and they were vivid, and they were memorable.
Because Jeff's
And
so quiet, he just had
yeah,
that
he's a
authentic,
quiet, meek gentleman.
quiet, meek,
Yeah,
meek man.
he is, and humble about it too. And so we were in San Antonio, Texas, and it was 2009, and just about the very end of that Imperial session, he gathered everybody in ORAC's suite that was there from ORAC, and I guess the right number of people had pulled him aside long enough and asked him to consider running for Imperial Outer Guard. And once again, he pulled all the people together that were of importance to him, and asked them, for their support, and if he were to, take on this role. And they gave it to him. And 2010 was met with extreme disappointment. And then 2011 was met with even more disappointment.
Yep.
And, you know, if it wasn't for his tenacity, my mother's tenacity, and a lot of encouragement from other people in the Shrine and Masonic communities, that might have been it.
Yep.
It takes a lot of time, energy, and money. I'm not
And
gonna
money.
lie,
Yeah.
and a lot of money,
Yeah.
to campaign for, Imperial Outer Guard.
Because you're traveling everywhere. It's not like you're buying votes. You're traveling here, you're traveling there. And that's like the budget buster of a home. Like going out to eat, that's your budget buster. You don't realize, like,
Yep.
oh my God, where have we spent it? In Masonically, when you're running for these positions or up
Right.
until you're Imperial, that is on your dime. And that's where
Right.
it gets you.
Correct. And there was one year, I think it was 2011. I just graduated from college, and I was at home that summer, and I think he had counted it up. They had been gone. My mother and he had been gone 50 out of 52 weekends, going to different associations, and so on and so forth. I don't know whether it was Imperial Jeff Souter and Imperial Sir Jim Smith that just kept on and keep running, don't stop, keep running, and
And for full disclosure, for those who don't, not a lot of first balloters get it. I
it's
mean,
very rare.
Souter was a weird one because this guy doesn't sleep and he works the phones from literally Hawaii to New York. So
He's one of a kind for sure.
yeah,
So yeah, it's for a long time it was almost customary. You've got to run twice.
yep.
And then you run twice and it doesn't happen. You're looking around asking what's going on. What did you do wrong? Who did we not talk to? Who did we not make good communication with? But 2012 came around. We were down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was sitting with my mom, and we caught wind through a couple of text messages that finally dad got the votes, and we went to congratulate him along with my grandfather who was there in 2012, and from there it was not nonstop gas pedal, right into everything Imperial. I had a change of careers in 2017. I moved into the commercial real estate world. Happened to join my dad at his position in with a brokerage firm in Chicago. He was there sometimes. He held an office. He had a phone line, but he spent most of his time on the road representing Shriners Internationals and Shriners Children's.
Yep.
And in 2021, we took the entire family down to Houston, had a great time celebrating the Smiths, and then watching all of mom and dad's hard work come together, and to kick off their years as Imperial Sir and First Lady, which also happened to coincide with the 150th and 100th anniversary of Shriners International and Shriners Children's, which was a lot of fun.
Happened exactly when it was supposed to, my friend.
Exactly how everybody drew it up, I'm sure.
Right.
But they always came back with a story, something unique, somebody they met, a patient, whatever it was, from every shrine association, the kindness that people showed them, gifts or gags or pranks that they were given.
What? No.
One of Dad's favorite, I'll say favorite in air quotes, was a card he was sent one time by Imperial Sir Matt Sterlickson, and the card didn't turn off for. It was a happy birthday card, and it didn't stop singing for 3.5 hours.
Did he have to leave it outside?
I think he ended up putting it in the freezer or an ice bucket before it finally malfunctioned.
That is so great. Oh my gosh.
So they had the time of their lives. traveling, meeting people, being a representative of Shriners Children's and Shriners International. They got to do a lot of firsts. They got to do a lot of lasts
Together.
together, and that was the amazing thing is they got to do everything together.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those who pick up on the English language, you're obviously speaking in past tense. So take us here to the end of the story.
So this one's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's just go this. When did he pass?
in 2023. I'm sorry. Yes, in 2022, he was feeling unwell. I was with him, and we encouraged him to go in. It was 2022. Encouraged him to go in. I'd only ever seen my father, so sick that he could barely stay awake or stand up.
Because they're dads, they're superheroes. They always have the cape on, right?
This would have been the second time in his life. The first one happened to be a stone. And so, I said, Mom, look, just take him into the doctor, see what's going on. And it was about April or May 2022. It took about a year of nonstop tests on and off to attempt to figure out what was going on.
Right.
And by February of 23, he had finally saw a genetic specialist, and she said, you have something called short telomere syndrome. No idea. What does that mean?
Right.
In simplistic terms, your telomeres is the length of your life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And at birth, his happened to be shorter.
Okay.
And so that led to some other internal issues, imbalances that we could try and fix, but we found all this out in February, and in May of 23 he passed away.
Yeah. So for those who are kind of putting the timeline together, as we're at that blackjack table, and I tell Ross, I know who your dad is. Ross's face, it just changed. It's like, wait, what? I know exactly who he is. So I think how, as much as the snapshots that I had with your dad, how he touched us, your dad had a kind of unique way of just, and Souders the same way, makes you feel like you're the person right there. I just felt like that we were able to kind of share that moment at a blackjack table about that. And it's just such a small, when people say we're cults, you guys are dipshits. We're just people who really have a genuine interest in one another. And I think that's what freaks the naysayers out.
I can't say it was the first time that I've cried at a blackjack table, because they've made me cry before.
Fair.
But it was certainly a welcome, that short of a time frame from May to September.
Yeah.
When you and I bumped into each other, it was so nice to meet somebody who could share that memory.
Well, and the cool thing is, we think we're controlling our destiny, everything. At 150-year anniversary, he was Imperial when he was supposed to be. You were supposed to be at that blackjack table, at that casino, at that time.
Right.
It's really strange. So now as we've got everyone emotional, push all that to
the thanks.
Holy hell.
Wasn't expecting to have to go through that today.
Yeah, well, you did good, my friend. Better than I would have done.
Oh, thank you.
Any Grand Lodge or potentate aspirations that you have?
Well, right now I've got a lot of focus on on my kids. They're growing up. They're 3 and 5. They're young. Yep. They're getting involved in sports. My son loves soccer and baseball right now. I've not been unbusy. I've kept myself busy over at ORAC. I've been serving as membership chair since 2021. In 2022, I took over as the golf chairman for our annual hospital golf outing. And also in 2022, we started a touch a truck event over at ORAC that coincides with something else that we're doing with the hog roast. So I've been running that ever since. In 2023, I became an associate board of governors member at the hospital in Chicago. And last year, for the first time, which was something unique and special to me serving in Reno, is I joined the Imperial Marshal's Aid staff as well.
Nice. So you're saying you got some time.
So there's no shortage of things to do, but I'll let you know here first that last month I was asked to serve as captain of the guard next year over at ORAC, and so in 2025 we'll start that climb.
The Bailey legacy continues.
It's a unique opportunity. To serve the temple that has given my family so many memories. Should I be able to, see this through and serve it out? I'll have been the fourth Bailey to serve as a potentate over at ORAC, which will be pretty unique and fun to be able to do. So I only hope that we can give back to ORAC as much as it's given to us.
I love it. I love it. You'll do fine, my friend. So, well, if you make it to potentate, you'll need to have members. So let me ask you this: why aren't more men joining Freemasonry today? What's the deal, man?
I think that, and I often wonder about this. I think it's a twofold problem. One, are we being honest in our proposition when we talk to new people? And two, are we providing what they need? And I was listening in on a town hall with Imperial Sir Matt Sterlickson's wife, and she said when we were serving as potentate, we did the simple things to make people feel welcome. We always had a kid's food item at our meals, and I thought back to that, thinking to my own temple, when we have an Irish or a St. Patrick's Day party, and we have corned beef and potatoes. Is that really what my 3 and 5-year-old want to eat? And if and I know they're picky, I get it, but if my 3 and 5-year-old, if I can't convince them to eat corned beef, how many parents can?
Fair.
If you're doing something as simple as, hey, we're also going to have mac and cheese and French fries. Great. Now I don't have to worry about feeding my kids beforehand or feeding them after, them getting out of hand. If you're going to say it's a family fraternity, we've got to live up to that. And we've got to be honest in that proposition. I continue to give credit to my wife. The reason we have a touch a truck event at our temple is because of her. We were traveling 40 minutes there for a pulled pork sandwich and 40 minutes back. To convince my kids, this is time well spent. Well, I believe it is. It's, we're paying for this food. How could we make it better? How about we just invite every emergency vehicle out from the city, park them in the driveway, and let the kids run around for 2 hours? And it was free. It didn't cost us a dime to invite the fire department, the police department, the street sweepers, the water department out. And all of a sudden, we have a packed parking lot, and we're able to invite the community out because it no longer feels like a members only event.
I love that. I want to do a future episode on that touch a truck, because I think that would be something that Shrine Centers and or Blue Lodges can use. So let's we can
do a full thing on that. There's one town over, they charge $20 a car, and it's all day bounce houses and phone parties and they go crazy. But all we're doing is providing a 2-hour window where families can come eat and go see trucks for free.
Love it.
It's something to do the last weekend right before school starts, where parents are desperate to find something to activate their kids, nerve centers and get them excited about something.
Yeah.
Get them outside the house, get them exploring vehicles. And for the longest time, we had a crane operator who would bring out a tent, pull out popcorn. He pulled out all the stops. He would set up buckets that they could move one bucket inside another bucket, inside another bucket. He was getting creative all on his own. And oftentimes the police department are bringing out their stickers, the fire departments are bringing out their hats. We haven't spent a dime on this.
It's a
And
great
every
cross
guy would,
pollination of the community as well, though.
it is. It brings the community out to our Shrine Center, where, again, one of the things we have to do as members is say, hey, we are here. Going back to the root of your question, we have to say, yeah, we're here. We are doing things. And that's where, again, we have to be honest in our proposition, and we have to show our members, yes, we are doing things. We are here. We are out there.
Perceived value is important because the commodity is really time. It's not money.
It is. If you had to, decide between three things that all take an hour in a day, what's going to be the most enriching for you and your family and the community is going to come down to it. And, that's where, the social media of the world, Instagram, Facebook, if you're on TikTok, all those things are important to show the world that yes, we're out doing things. And especially for members who may not be able to participate, they can still identify and say, yes, my lodge, my temple is doing that. Yes, we're out there doing that. While I physically, if I am 85, I may not physically be able to pick up a hammer and go participate in Habitat for Humanity or, building a fence for, the respite house or whatever it may be. My guys did that. I'm a part of that team. And if there's one thing that, I think that we believe as Americans is we want to be a part of that team. You look at any college team, any professional team, we don't talk about them as they. It's always we. We lost, we won.
It's a great point.
But you were never on the field. What do you mean you won? You were never on the field. You didn't participate. That same feeling resonates with it, with our members. Yeah. I may not be able to participate in a blood drive, but I'm sure darn proud that my guys went out and got 30 pints of blood for the Red Cross. Right. We did that.
Yep.
And we just, as a lodge, had to sit down with our local assessor and state our case for why we should be able to keep our nonprofit status for our property tax exemption. And you sit down, and if you can't make a list of where you're contributing in your town, in your neighborhood, in your city, it's time to turn that around. And those things can't always be quiet. They have to be. That. They
That's
have
so
to be
true,
made
though.
known.
Yeah.
Because we need to continue to show we are making, we are benefiting the community. And that was one of the things that having to make this testimony before the assessor is we provide value. You may not know that we provide value, but we do every single day that we get together. The building that you see that you're just thinking you're not getting tax revenue from, we, the members, are digging into our own pockets every night when a member shows up and say, hey guys, I know about a member who's down on their luck.
Right.
Hey guys, I heard that the respite house, the halfway house for men, the refrigerator went out. Can we do something about that? We come to each other, and in my testimony, I talk about our call to action and how it's within those four walls of our Shrine Center or our lodge. Those calls come in different ways. It may be a blood drive. It may be providing all four shifts at the fire department or the police department with donuts for, for one full round. It may be, donating to the respite house. It may, whatever it may be, collecting food donations, whatever it may be. It's that call comes in different ways, and it comes in different seasons. And that's where we need to be honest with our members. Some lodges, some temples, they're great at making members.
Yep.
Admittedly, that's who my lodge was when I was a worshipful master. We were great at making members. We had 13, I think it was 13 Master Masons raised in 1 year. We were second best in the state that year at raising Master Masons. Our sister lodge that meets in the same building, they were great doers. They did things in the community. And I'm just as proud of them as I was of us. I was proud that they're going out and building, and they're living what we're preaching.
So that's your quantity, really. That's your quantity and quality, really, question. You guys, because for numbers, you were producing the quantity, but while that same building as a whole was outputting quality, right? I mean, because there's a balance. There's always that debate: is it quality versus quantity? And the answer is really it's in the middle. You need the members to pay the bills, but you need the quality to carry it on in the future.
Correct. And that's not, that's something that's hard to learn early on as a Mason is, look, the individual that is a Blue Lodge Mason, a York Rite Mason, a Scottish Rite Mason, a Shrine Mason, again, they're all Masons.
Right.
Their philanthropic drive may be with the Scottish Rite. It may be with the York Rite. It may be with the Shrine, but they're all still Masons at their core. And while they're helping pay the bills, of the Blue Lodge, while they may not be there for degrees or ritual work, they're helping, they are equal value paying your bills as somebody that's there, each and every night. And one of the things that my grandfather said is join it all, join everything that you can join, and then find what you love. If it's the Scottish Rite, great. If it's the York Rite, great. If it's just the Blue Lodge, fantastic, because we need guys in every department, so to speak. And there's no wrong way to do it. If you're a parading shrine center, great. Do that to the best, do that to the best of your ability. Do it loud, do it proud. That is our free public relations. Get the name out there. We need that.
Well, we talk about this a lot on the podcast. Your masonry and my masonry look different, right? But there are so many varieties of things you can do in masonry that you don't have in the Lions Club or Kiwanis. It's pretty single faceted where you can go so many different directions and you can be busy 1 day a year or 12 days a week, right? Depending on what you want to do. But the great thing about the variety that we offer in masonry is everybody's masonry can look different, and that's cool.
And it's very, very unique opportunity. The one thing that I say that we can't do is just be a dinner club. We have to be doers, because if we're just a dinner club, it goes back to the assessor that I had to face down. What are you doing that's of value?
Yep.
And if it's just getting together to have dinner, that's probably not enough.
Fair.
If our value proposition doesn't meet what we say we're doing, unfortunately, by every right, they should take away the nonprofit status. If we are doing nothing but getting together to have a meal and go home, we're not providing the value that we say we're providing, and that is why you can lose a member.
I agree.
Now, the other thing is, it's for keeping or retaining members. It is people want to feel included. They want to feel that they're known by name. They want to feel that they're welcomed. And that, is, yes, we're all adults. I get it. But at the same time, like, we all revert back to that inner core of, am I really wanted here?
Exactly right.
And while that shouldn't be a thing, you often
Listen, it's a thing. It shouldn't be, but it's a thing.
right.
If we're giving up our commodity of time, we'd just like for you to just give us a, hey, nice to see you. Sometimes that's all it takes. Nice
Thanks for
to see
being
you,
here.
insert name.
Thanks for being here, Brian. We couldn't have had tonight without you.
Yep.
Tonight would be different without you. One of the things that I did, that I chose to do, going into my year as worshipful master, is provide every master mason that I raised with a blue polo with their name and a square and compass. Why? So they could wear it, so everybody knew their name, so they felt a part of something. And then when everybody else was wearing theirs, they got to feel a part of something. And feeling, if we really boil it down, everybody wants to feel a part of something.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. You gave them a uniform. You gave them a jersey with their name on it. I love it.
And still to this day, it's one of my better ideas. It is one of my better ideas, because they're still asking, hey, can we get another polo for somebody?
Love it.
Because then you're a part of something. You have something to wear. If you guys are going out together, if you just wanted to grab a dinner, if you guys were going out to, work on the park, whatever it may be.
It's a dual purpose. It's
It
not
is
only to be included.
multifaceted.
Remember, yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, we're talking about food, so we're going to go to the most important question of the podcast, my friend. So on the screen, you're going to see 4 things, and we are about to judge you. There are 4 things on the screen, my friend. One of them must go forever. It was never invented. You have tacos, any kind, beef, chicken, shrimp. I understand if Sauter was here, he'd have all sorts of things to say. Pizza, any toppings, chicken wings, any rub, any powder, anything you want, and burgers any way you want it. Ross, if you want to continue on in Masonry, somebody is going to judge you with their vote on your answer today. So which one
of these has to go?
Forever. It was never invented.
It was never invented. That's a tricky one. But I've got to admit, the one that I could live without the most, it's going to be the pizza.
What?
I have had more bad pizza than I have had good pizza. And I come from a Chicagoland. There's a lot of good pizza, but there's so much bad pizza. Now, hear me out, Brian. Hear me out.
All right. I'm listening.
The best burger comes from Chicago. It is beef.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm not buying it, but I'm listening.
The best burger in the country comes out of Chicago.
And from where is this place?
The restaurant is called Au Cheval.
Okay.
And you can wait anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to sit down.
White tablecloth, I'm assuming?
No.
Open
kitchen. Yeah. 2 to 4 hours in a summer on a standard weekday.
All right. So you didn't get rid of the beef. Because if that was
I'm not getting rid of beef.
You can't come south of I-80 if you said beef's gone.
Yeah. And I wouldn't do that to Imperial Sir Jeff.
Yes. Yeah. So he was hoping you'd say chicken. He was hoping you'd say chicken.
I know. But chicken wings, if you would have showed me just chicken, maybe. But chicken wings.
I get it. I
love a good chicken wing.
I get it. Ross, thanks for joining the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast, my friend. Cheers.
Thanks for having me, Brian.